how you doing? Stephen Fallon here again. This is number 6. This time talking about property and your pension. Property and your pension makes a lot of sense, but you have to bear in mind there's a lot of risk involved with it for a simple reason: it's not liquid. You can basically use a trustee company to purchase property, and what you're doing is you're basically the money in the trustee company is purchasing the property, and then what you're doing is the rent that comes off the property is going in and funding your pension. Now, there's a thing called the badges of trade, meaning that you'll get pension tax relief on an investment, but not on a trade. So meaning that you can't go flipping these things, doing a couple of them a year. Okay, I think the outer parameters of this are you need to hang on to the property for 3 years. Okay, so buy a property, increase the value of it if you can, and rent it out for a period of 3 years, and then be in the process of doing this a second time. Using property is good in a growing property market. In a downward property market, it's not the best thing to be doing unless you have enough runway, so that between now and retirement you have enough runway to go down and then come back up the other side. So you need to have enough runway to do that. Other than that, you need to get your timing right. Ultimately, people investing in property need to have a bit of an idea what they're doing when it comes to property. I haven't a clue about property. It's a kind of bizarre thing why people would buy property, for the simple reason that you're locked in. It's not liquid. Try selling a house in a hurry. I think I'll just sell my house today, put it on the market, get it done, get rid of it by next week, and have a few bob in my pocket. That doesn't happen. Property is a very slow thing to move, and if the market turns and then suddenly you can find yourself stuck with property for years. More advantageous way of doing it, if you don't want to take the mad risk but you'll still be locked in, you go into a property fund, or you go into a REIT, which is like a collective property. That basically properties broken up into units, put into a fund. Now, I'm not 100% sure with the REIT, but with a property fund, when there's a problem, Brexit there being a prime example of a problem that's put, the life assurance companies tend to put a moratorium on actually getting out of a property fund, because if there's a bit of a scare, everyone bails. The life company ends up having to try and sell a property in a hurry, which you can't do. So a property fund not being liquid, there's moratoriums on getting out of them. Now that depends. Usually 6 months, possibly a year in some cases. In regards to buying one through a trustee company, going back a number of years ago, there was leveraged property. So you could have something as, you could have a modest pension fund of maybe 100,000. You could gear that up, and the bank would lend you another 200,000 or 300,000, and you could buy a geared property. Now these were sold to beat the band. A lot of brokers and a lot of agents made a lot of money on these things, not really knowing what they were selling, and not being aware of the risks, because the downturn on these meant that a lot of clients lost a lot of money, because geared up is also geared down. So if you have 100,000 and you multiply it by 3 or 4, if it drops, if the value of property drops by a certain amount, you've actually wiped out all your money. So all your pension money can go in one go in doing that. Now, currently, no one in the Irish market is doing that, but these things happen. They can come around again, and so forewarned is forearmed. You could end up these fancy wrappers coming out selling products where you're gearing property again. Steer clear of them. The brokers that were selling these things didn't understand them. The clients didn't understand them, and there's people out there that have lost all of their pension money on getting involved in these things. If you know about property, you basically go into a fund, use a property fund, or basically buy a property through the trustee company, and then there are certain rules in relation to that. I'll go into them with you again. Alright, the company is futureprooffinance.ie. All my contact details are there. See you again. Bye bye.